you just got to go to university and you will study and you're going to get your qualifications and then you're going to get a job. When the tax changed and it meant that the money you earned reduced, from then on, I started to think, okay, what else can I do? I can shape how I want to live my life. And it doesn't have to follow this standard route. When I train, what I eat, who I interact with, how I generate money, all these things are now in my control, right? And that just is so powerful. That phase of acceleration or takeoff, it's everything. It's the fear that you have to combat, sleepless nights, the stress, the doing of the business, right?
You're the man of the house. That's a huge weight of responsibility, and you want to look like you got your shit together.
Well, that's a big one. When you're going through this phase, this acceleration, it's not one day, it's days. It's not 1 hour, it's hours. And it's very hard to go through this because then you end up being more alone than you should be.
Stumbling block that you overcame over these last 4 years, was there one in particular that stood out to you where you were like, start questioning maybe yourself, your path?
This sounds crazy, but it was every day.
Most people follow the script. Few stop to ask who wrote it. In this episode, I sit down with entrepreneur and endurance athlete Chidi Egbujie to explore what happens when you begin questioning the path laid out to you, navigating the fear of the unknown, and what it really takes to build a life on your own terms. If you find value in this one, support the mission. Please kindly subscribe and leave a review. It helps the show grow, and that means that we can reach more men navigating that messy middle of growth and support them in becoming more self-led. Thank you so much. I'm Harrison, and this is the Growth Voyage Podcast. Enjoy.
Okay, the red light is on. Chidi, welcome to the show.
Hey Harrison, thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you here. My first question off the bat is, at what point in your life did you decide that you were meant for something more?
It's a really good question. So I think for me, if I go back to sort of my journey as a young man, as an adult, there were a lot of things I did, whether it's through passion, things I was passionate about, I just did them. And I just followed like a script. You know, you follow scripts. It's like, and for me, it was being a child of African parents. It was like, you just got to go to university and you will study and you're going to get your qualifications and then you're going to get a job. And so you just follow those things. But then I started to follow other parts just by passion. Like I wanted to race karts. I wanted to ride a motorbike. So I learned how to do that. I wanted to learn how to ski. I wanted to do a triathlon. All these things you kind of just started to do. But the key moment when I really started to change the way I see my life and where I'm going with my life was really when, and this is kind of like a weird one, when the tax changed. So I was like a contractor in a bank, and the tax laws changed for contractors, and it meant that the money you earned reduced. And then from then on, I started to think, okay, what else can I do? And that journey then led me to, the more I thought about that, the more I started to question how I spend my time, right? And how to spend my time in the future. And all these things it's like a knock-on effect. It's like, what am I doing with my time? Who am I spending with? What do I want to achieve with my life, you know? Like your whole mortality just comes into picture. And that's just been like a new me was born through various steps.
Yeah. Well, there's something so fascinating about that. I completely agree. Sometimes it just takes one shift,
yes,
something to change for you to go, oh, and then it opens up a whole new world of
correct
possibilities.
Correct.
But then I'm keen to touch upon this more sort of corporate lifestyle in a way, because as you suggest, and I think this is common for a lot of men, where it's like, this is the path you've got to go down, and no real other options aside from that. And I think when you're in that routine, you're not going to get any other outlook or alternative to life, are you? Did you find that you were satisfied during that period when you were kind of following the path that was laid out for you by society, by other people, or was there a desire deep down to, as you suggested, maybe explore your interests a bit more?
And, you know, it's really, really interesting because, and it's like a gift and a curse, right? Because when it's like an ant in a line. When you're going down that, it's just every day you wake up and you just do what you have to do. You go in, do your job, you come out, you spend your time doing things, watching Netflix, playing sport, whatever you enjoy. And that's just your routine. It's just how you live. And you're not thinking about anything else. That's just how you live. But once you once my mind opened to this world outside of what I do, the gift is you see things so much clearer. But the curse really is then you're then living in frustration, because then there's your world as you knew it becomes flawed.
That's a really interesting perspective, actually, because if you don't know that there's other possibilities out there, you can probably create quite a high degree of satisfaction
100%
in that lifestyle. And this is what I've thought about to myself, because when I first started this journey, I was like, right, everyone needs to do this. Everyone needs to see the light. You can become your own boss. And I know there's quite a few public figures who, really advocate for that way of life. Simon Squibb, for example.
Exactly.
And yet, I don't know if that path is necessarily for everybody. And if you're satisfied with that lifestyle, then why would you want to change it? Whereas once you do open up your mind to other possibilities, the hunger starts. So how soon was it for you to go from, oh, this is a possibility to, right, we're making this happen? Was that a long period for you?
It's a long period, because for me, I equate it to like a skydive. I've never done a skydive, and I can picture myself, even though I've never been there, but I can picture myself with a plane door open, it's a small plane, and someone's jumped and someone else is telling me to jump. And it's almost so real when I can hear the wind, I can feel it. I am there, but I've never been there. And this is almost the same feeling when you're trying to give up something that you've done pretty much your whole adult life, and to go into this unknown. And it's basically fear. It's fear of and especially when you think of myself, my background originally was financial services. You get paid well, but you're locked, you're closed off from the world, right? You go into the bank very early and you leave quite late. And then by the time you go home, you just jump onto other things which kind of de-stress you. And you're happy because life is good. But once you start looking out and then trying to picture achieving the same level of success or more in an unknown to an extent, it's a scary feeling.
And I imagine for a lot of people that fear will hold them back from taking that
100%.
Taking that step. And you can understand why, because again, it's if you don't know that path, it's going to be completely new to you.
Yeah.
And I can totally imagine how, especially in your situation, even though you've made that realization, there's still going to be a degree of hesitancy there. And I imagine also there's a ton of benefits to what you were doing before. Spending however many years in financial services, you've built up experience, you've, I imagine, saved up some money over time, you've built yourself a solid foundation. So I've always wondered whether you kind of need, where is the right time? Perhaps there isn't a right time, but at what point do you think, actually, you know what, this is quite a good solid foundation. I'll do this for 3 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years, then I'll go off and do my own thing.
Yeah.
Is that perhaps wiser than just going straight off the bat? I don't know.
Well, and this is a good point, right? So when people, like if I was to talk to my 20-year-old self and says, look, this is what I want to do, I'd probably still recommend them go and get a job. But it doesn't necessarily have to be in a bank. It could be work in a studio, or if they want to do beauty, go and work in a salon, go and shadow some business owners, because there's a wealth of experience that you will gain from being inside of a business. Remember, this is especially like a decent business that's turning over millions. They have systems and processes that are in place and technology that they use that you benefit from. And also like the stamina of work. Like a kid who comes out of school, are they cut out to really get it done every day? Because that's what happens to a business owner. Like a business owner is kind of self-disciplined, and they just get up and they do this thing every day, every morning, just grind out. But a kid would need a bit of, to improve that cadence over time, to build that stamina. And so the best place would be in a business of some sort. And then you can start to understand the foundations, and then you can kind of go on your own journey.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense to me. I always have the mentality of, well, if you don't know what your passion is or you want to find your purpose, just start by doing something, even if it isn't your thing.
100%.
That resonates. I'm also keen to ask about your responsibilities at the time as well, because I imagine at this point you're not just responsible for yourself, but for other people as well.
Correct. So I've got kids. It's a big responsibility. But when you're younger, you haven't really got that level of responsibility, and it's a good time to take those risks. But it's really, a lot of it's just the mindset. It's just how your mind is working, what you're thinking about, what you're exposed to. Like for me, for as an example, when I started going down this road, there just was no going back, because I'd seen things that I couldn't unsee. I've met people that I couldn't unmeet. And so you see a different life to yourself. And so like, I remember people like in the bank, like really, really admirable, amazing, like senior people, like really amazing people. And you'd look up to these people, and they'll be at their desk at 7, they'll still be at their desk at 6, and they get their own calls, and they're getting a lot of stuff done. They've got such ethics and hard work and grit. But once you start seeing life outside, these mentors, you look at them and you almost feel sorry for them, right? But in their bubble, in their lane, life is perfect. But once you've seen what I've seen, you start to think, is this how I'm going to live my life? Is this my story? And it changes, you can't unsee that.
Yeah, it's kind of when you take off the goggles, if you like.
Yeah.
You kind of see a different reality, yeah. It's something I thought about, whether I've sort of envied people who haven't seen the world a different way, and I kind of just in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not, and the thing is, in some ways there's almost no right or wrong, because these people, they have amazing security, especially when you have people who have managed to like climb a ladder in a career, and they've got to a point where they've got great pensions, they've got humongous salaries, and they've got this level of risk that they don't take home with them, because it's not your firm. You don't take that on holiday with you. So they can, see people lying down by the pool, reading a book, completely at peace. But a business owner, bro, that takes you go to bed with that. You take you on holiday with you. You know, you're going calls on holiday, you know. So is that ideal for some? Probably not.
Yeah, there's always going to be pros and cons to
100%.
each one you choose. So it's I'm intrigued to hear in your case what made you decide the trade-off was worth it, or did you even know what the trade-off was? Because I imagine at first you get this like glamorized view of entrepreneurship, doing your own thing. Oh, I'm going to set my own hours. I'm going to be present for my family. I'm going to do this, be my own boss. And then there's kind of a reality kind of sets in. Was that what happened with you, or was
Interestingly, I was talking to a founder of a startup. They amazing, a couple of guys. They're doing this really interesting thing with AI and matching, you know, hires, and like the recruiter or the employer and the candidates. They're doing something crazy about matching them with AI. It's really amazing. But one of the things he said to me was, I didn't realize how hard this was going to be. You know, I remember when I first set up my business and I set up my website, and I was working with this developer on the website, and I kept like, no, can you make sure this, I need to make this right before we put this live? You know, make sure it's correct, make sure that's correct. Went through it. And eventually I put it out, and he was like, look, we can just put it out and then we could change it. Like, no, let's make sure it's right first before we put it out. And then we put it out, and it was sort of like crickets because it's obviously that's from my eyes. I'm naive because you just think, okay, I'm going to put up a website and everyone's going to come to me. And then you realize like all the stuff you have to do to market your business, to push yourself, all the things you need to learn, where you need to be, what you need to respond to. So there's a lot that I definitely didn't realize how hard it was going to be.
Yeah. And I wonder, because you're how many years in now? Is it
4 years, 5 years? 5 years, yeah.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So how much has shifted for you then in these 5 years? Because I imagine for the first couple of years at least, I always think it's kind of the biggest thing you can do for your growth journey, personal development. You're kind of battling your own voices of self-doubt, inner demons. My question for you is, how much of that did you experience when you first started? But then also 4 years in, how has your mentality shifted since then? And how are things now compared to maybe your outlook or how you thought things would look like?
It's been huge. Like when I started a business, it was really all about replicating my banking revenue on the business side. So it was more financial, right? I had some passions in terms of I wanted to help people. I just want to make my mark on the world. And so I feel like I've got a good friend who's a surgeon, and it's very impressive with what he does and how he helps people. So I feel like I'm the same, but more on the financial side. But what has really changed is it's just what I've become, the evolution of myself in how I think and what I think is important. That's really the shift. I wasn't expecting. I wasn't thinking about, I'm going to feel like this, I'm going to feel like that. But really just being able to see through things. So see through people, see through businesses, and trying to identify what can work and what's worth trying. So that's it's like a marathon runner who starts running for the first time. And you're thinking about that goal of doing a marathon, but it's who you become along the way. That's the really impressive piece.
So for you, it's been a perspective shift in terms of how you see yourself or the world around you. What's been the biggest shift?
It's the world, really, because what happens is you're in a line. So it's like this ants in a line, and then you just go off, right? And now you then realizing actually, I don't have to be on this line. There's a different world outside of this. And the whole world just changed. And it almost makes you start to realize that the world as we know it, it's like man-made, not man-made, but because it's not just men, but it's like a humanly designed world. What we have on our high street, what we do in the morning, what we eat. And so really, it's starting to understand that actually I can shape how I want to live my life. And it doesn't have to follow this standard route, right? I can, when I train, what I eat, who I interact with, how I generate money, who I help, all these things are now in my control, right? And that just is so powerful.
Yeah, I feel as though control, even though we can't really control everything, I feel like it's one of our deeper desires, or control over our own life, autonomy.
Yeah.
There's quite a few pieces there I'm keen to delve deeper into, because you've mentioned, again, like this new realm of possibilities, what you believe is possible, how you can structure your own life. I want to touch upon that because, again, you gave the example before of this guy who's working 12 hours a day at his desk, and he goes back home, he's stressed, he's just going all over again. And I imagine your lifestyle wasn't too far off when you were in the financial sector. So when you start your own mission then, do old habits die hard in a way? Like, do you still find yourself getting trapped in that same mechanism because it's your own thing? Because as you were saying, you get to become the creator of your own life. So you're thinking, right, I'll get up, I'll go to the gym, I'll work, maybe I'll eat, maybe I'll read a bit. Is it quite like that though? Or have you found yourself constantly having to have a chat with yourself, bring yourself back to balance a couple of times? Talk to me about that.
So I think of this, and this is something I talk about a lot, very passionate about it, is everyone's on a destination, and that's how I see it. I just think destination, and I wanted to be a pilot when I was a kid, so I have this pilot thing in my head. So I use that as an example, right? Or analogy. So if you picture, and this is how I really see it, this is how my mind is working on this. If I picture a pilot, so a pilot, long haul pilot, goes into a plane, he's thinking about a destination, and let's say it's going to Dubai. No, probably not. But let's say Dubai. And now he has to have the right crew, right fuel, food, all these things. And then the interesting piece is we go to the runway. Like, the planes now are getting better, but if you go back 20 years, the older planes, the takeoff was a lot harsher. It was really, everything shakes, your ears pop in, the locker's about to open. And I really love thinking about this, because that acceleration, it's really what it takes to get, for a business owner, a new business owner, to get through to the point where you're starting to navigate and you kind of, and that phase of acceleration or takeoff, it's everything. It's the fear that you have to combat, the sleepless nights, the stress, the doing of the business, right? The facing up to people who are wealthy and trying to help them. There's just a whole load of things, sleepless nights, the worry, the doubt from others, there's a lot that you have to go through. But that's just what it takes. Even though
you kind of have the vision in your mind of like this kind of perfect day, it's to get there, it's kind of, you have to go through that period.
And what's been really fascinating about this journey is starting to understand, when you start to educate yourself and listen to stories of people that have done it before, or done similarly or completely different amazing things. They all had to go through that. Like, people just see something and they see the end result, Like I've got friends who, they own a restaurant that's doing millions. Like they've had this restaurant for 11 years, right? They've opened another branch now. But when you sit down and you talk to them, this first restaurant that they had was empty. Like there was nothing in there. They took loans. They got this whole building that was almost derelict, and they had to turn it into this restaurant. And you got to picture that runway for them. Like you got to picture what these guys had to go through to turn it into this restaurant that you come in now and there's got celebrities on the wall and they're selling those amazing food and get loads of money and they're driving those nice cars. So, but that's almost the same scenario for most business owners.
Do you think you've got to have a vision that's so strong that you can make it into reality, essentially?
You have to just have a goal, like a destination, and you've just got to be ready to go to war. You just got to be ready to really find yourself in those dark places and lift yourself out.
I think this is the key, is actually being really knowing what that goal is.
Yeah.
Like really getting specific about what you want, because I feel the difficulty arises when we don't know what that end point actually looks like. Or what are we working towards? Because when we have that in mind and we're really certain about it, then when you go through the trials and tribulations, you're going to you can remind yourself, you're just like, yeah, this is part of a journey. Whereas if you don't know where you're going, then how are you gonna stay motivated to keep going?
And it's just perfect what you're saying there, because I remember listening to a talk by a lady called Bonita Norris. I think she's either the youngest woman or the first British female to climb Everest. And if I remember correctly, she started climbing, and within 1 year or 2 years max, she's climbed Everest. I think she did the Himalayas in the first 5 or 8 months or something like that. But it just resonated with me so much, because when people think about Everest, you just think, this is not Snowdon. It's brutal. Like there are places, you can't even imagine. Just she shared the pictures and the videos of the terrain they had to go through, the knee-length snow, going across like a icy ladder of some kind of ravine that you drop and you're dead. You know, there was a lot she had to go through. But the destination is the mountain. But that destination in itself is too overwhelming that you'd never make it. You wouldn't even try. But for her, she just focused on the steps. That was her key to getting through that, is just one step at a time. So it's really, as you say, having your destination, your goal, but then just focus on doing. Like doing brings confidence, doing breeds repetition, and you just go keep it moving.
Yeah, definitely so. And not losing sight of that vision. Did you have was there a big stumbling block that you overcame over these last 4 years? Was there one in particular that stood out to you where you were like, start questioning maybe yourself, your path? Like, is there one moment that really sticks out to you, do you reckon?
Mate, this sounds crazy, but it was every day. It was every day. And those days became every 2 days. And then it becomes every 5 days, where you're thinking, what am I doing here? And the biggest thing is just a doubt. It's can I do this? And that would apply to anything in life. I think, someone's trying to get fit, and do you think you can do it? Do you think you can look like you? Do they think they can get there? And so they start training, but some days it's hard, and you look in the mirror and nothing's happening, and you think, well, you're not going to do it, mate. You can't do it. But I think the key for me was recognizing the thought and acknowledging it, like almost seeing my thoughts go through in front of me, and rather than it just sinking in and soaking into my soul, I just kind of acknowledge it, that I'm feeling that way, I'm thinking that way right now, and actually question it, if that makes sense. So then it doesn't overwhelm me. It's just a thought I had, and I just park it, and I understand that I've just got to keep moving.
Yeah, well, that awareness is super important. As you suggested, I think we're naturally, as we walk through life, we're going to encounter all this external noise. I think it's up to us, again, taking responsibility, right? What are we actually going to let in? And
and this is the evolution of myself through this process, because sometimes it wasn't even, I could talk to somebody and I just feel the energy that comes out of them. You know, sometimes, you know, like when you're younger, your parents, they don't always have to say, I'm mad at you for this. Sometimes you can just feel the energy and you just know, my dad's pissed off at me, you know, or I think he's proud of me, you know, and it's the same. So you feel that energy, and that energy can affect you or it can encourage you. And so it's once you start to understand what you're feeling and this energy, you can start to decide on how you handle it.
Yeah, I want to touch upon this point of energy as well. And I imagine this ties in with the awareness bit as well. What thoughts you're taking on, and one thing I've been looking to do is be very mindful of protecting my energy and not getting dragged into all this external noise and even the people that I come across. So has that always been a part of your life, do you think? Have you ever been exposed to that, or was it only perhaps when you started your own entrepreneurial journey, when you started thinking about this type of stuff?
Because when I started this journey, I became more vulnerable because I'm battling things I hadn't battled before. You know, in my old life, I know I'm a numbers guy. I'm good at what I do. I just do it. And when I finish, I leave. And when I leave, I go hang out with people I want to hang out with. I do what I want to do. I sleep. I wake up in the morning. I train. And we repeat. But when you're a business owner and trying to go on this life, on this journey, you start to think, oh, what should I do? Should I do that? Is it going to work? Oh, it's not working. Stop. Try that. Is it going to work? And it's like, oh, and there's all these voices in your head going, oh, dude, like, seriously, you can't do that. He can't, you know, she's better than it. She's a natural. You're not. All these things. And then someone says, oh, well, okay. And it's like, what's he trying to say? What's she trying to say? So there's a lot of things that are going on. And you start to get experienced at handling it and managing. You have to start managing these things. You have to start thinking, okay, let me try and switch off, do some breathing techniques, try and switch my thoughts off so I can go to bed because I need more rest. So you become more in control. You know, it's like being in a plane and I was in a passenger and now I'm a pilot, and now I start to think, okay, we switch this thing. I'm not a pilot, so I can't tell you what I'm switching, but you're starting to become more aware of different things, different readings, and different buttons to press to stop this or to assist this. And that's just how I live now.
So I imagine 4 years in, you've kind of built up a toolkit, perhaps, of like, okay, right, this is coming up. I know exactly what to do here.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, there was times in my early 1-2 years where I would say you're overwhelmed, not by work, but just by your emotions and the weight of what you're trying to do. Especially when you start hiring staff members, then you're now paranoid about your team. You're worried about them because they have families behind them. So you've got to keep the business going. But as you start to evolve, you just become more battle hardened.
Yeah, there's two elements I want to touch on here. One is in terms of, at what point, how many years in did things start to settle, do you think? And I know in business it never really settles, but I feel like there's the first stage of business where you're still figuring out the fundamentals. Then you get to stage 2, which is ready to scale my blueprint. So was there an exact point where you thought, okay, right, I think we're at a solid base now. Our head's above water.
Yeah.
We can survive. Now's the time to put the foot on the brakes. And tell me about, if so, tell me about that feeling. And then there's another element about community, which I'll touch upon shortly.
Well, for me, it's there isn't that one point. It's like a linear journey. And the whole idea is like, when I started, you have these one day, I call it my one day, where I'm thinking, one day I want to be this. One day I want to have a team. One day I want to have this kind of client. One day I want to be able to do this. One day I want to wake up and think this. And when I think that, I also take a moment to recognize where I've come from, you know, because what happens is sometimes you keep comparing yourself to everyone else around you. But as you move, that goalpost of comparison moves, but you almost don't realize it. And so you always start to feel short all the time because there's always somebody doing better than you, right? There's always someone further ahead in their journey than you, right? And some people even come and overtake you. It's just how it is. But really, it's just understanding and acknowledging your progress. That's, for me, is just the key.
Yeah, it's they always say the moment you've reached the top of one mountain, you're at the bottom of another, and it just never stops. So chances are, as you were alluding to, where you are now compared to a year ago you would have been stoked. Or even if it's not where you want it to be business wise, what wisdom have you gained? What types of people are in your life now?
Exactly.
And, that's a great point. There's never actually that kind of confirmed my suspicion. There's never actually a point where you feel settled. You're kind of just always just
100%.
Yeah, on the wheel.
One of the hardest things is to still be present and be satisfied with where you are. That's one of the hardest things for me. Is to still constantly maintain, because what happens is when I'm in a box and I'm trying to get to a bigger box, which is it's a natural progression. You've got to keep moving, right? You've got to keep evolving. And when you're a business owner, to evolve is not just wake up in the morning. You have to challenge yourself. You have to put yourself in front of this person, do this, do that, learn this, train them on that. And so the risk is, because you've got your eye on that next box, which is natural, the risk is in your current box to be dissatisfied. And it's an unfortunate position to be in, because you've only got one life and you've got to enjoy it. So it's that balance of trying to take stock and say, look, mate, I'm great. Nothing wrong with me right now. I'm healthy. I'm doing amazingly well. I love the people around me. I've got to soak that in whilst I'm still trying to get to my next box.
Yes. Yeah, it's always that balance, isn't it? And I imagine the more you can cultivate a sense of gratitude of where you are now, the more stuff you're going to attract into your life and to your business.
Yes.
Anyway, so again, it comes back to what you were saying about awareness. We've got to be constantly checking in. Are we living in a state of fear or lack? Yeah. Or are we, like what do we want to call it more of? Simple as that. Not always as simple to practice it sometimes. I think I find it can be easy to get distracted. But what I was keen to touch on was a sense of maybe people around you, perhaps, who were inspiring you. Because I imagine when you take that leap into entrepreneurship, it's a new path. Maybe you know some people who have gone down the same route, but it's new. And I imagine your social circles beforehand, I know you're being involved in sports. A lot of them are going to be in a similar in the financial world, so in terms of that transition, was there an element of loneliness there? Did you find a new tribe of people, or did you perhaps keep the same people around you during that step? And were they the same people who you'd reach out to when things got tough? Talk to me about the role of, could be men, but brotherhood, but just people in your life. Yeah.
So this has been a very good question. I like this one, because the people around you is really important, not just for encouragement, but as we talked about earlier on, just the energy. Like, you don't understand how important it is or how beneficial it would be when you sit down with somebody and they may not even be a business owner, but they just get what you're going through and they just have words of encouragement, or just even without, it's a weird one, even without actually telling you, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, but just sitting down with you and just kind of being able to get, just feeling like you can just tell them. And I've got one or two friends where we can sit down and I could just say, this is what I'm going through. And we can just brainstorm it, or they can just give you words of encouragement. But even without the encouragement, it's just the energy that that's with us around them, as opposed to people who, they have fears that they portray towards you, right? And those fears, you leave the room and you actually feel worse, right? You get discouraged, you start to question yourself. And so you kind of have to balance that and take less of that negative energy and more of the positive energy. And I think in terms of the community as a whole, that's your tribe, it's really changes, because when before my business, it was just outside. Okay, you got some friends from work, you go for drinks with them, and you got your people you play sport with, people you hang out with. It's just general. We talk about anything. There's nothing in it, But it's really, and there's some people you'd want to hang out with. This guy's funny. I want to hang out with him, more. But that changes when you start to see a different light, and then you start to, so it's not just my friends, but colleagues, ex-colleagues, my clients. And you think, like, I run an accounting business. I've got some amazing clients who are doing amazing things. So they're like self-appointed mentors in a way, because I just look at what they're doing, how they spend their time, and that gives you energy, right? So it's a collective of people.
Yeah, and you touched upon something there. Sometimes you need people there to show you actually what you don't want in your life. So those types of interactions can be quite helpful as well. And yeah, you touched upon something there. It's just gold. I think if you have one or two people, you can just
exactly
talk about your stuff with. And I was intrigued to hear about like how you actually found those people in your life, because I think men especially, we can be quite slow to really form deep relationships with other men a lot of the time. And we're kind of so busy in our own world that we don't really prioritize it. So with these people who, they're like your safe people, your tribe, how did you kind of form those relationships? Were they like work related, and how did you learn to kind of trust these people? Because I think a lot of men struggle with that.
Yeah, and you're right. And I think for me, I'm just fortunate because these people didn't come to me after I started my business. They were always there, but I just didn't tap into that side of them. So they were always there. Like, one of them is a successful business owner. He runs a cybersecurity company. He's doing amazingly well. But we ride bikes. We drive cars. And I got him when he wanted to cycle. I told him what bike to buy. Then we started cycling together. But then I started thinking about these things. And then you realize this guy has a wealth of not just knowledge, but experience. It's like he's been down there. It's like someone's playing Fortnite. They've done all the levels. And now they're going to show you how to do the levels. And you can say, okay, I'm trying to build, for my Fortnite fans, even though I don't play Fortnite, but I'm trying to build. What's the technique to build? Do you think I can get to build like you? And he says, yeah, you practice as many hours, watch this video, do this and that. And so that's how then you realize this guy's a huge asset of mine. He's still a good friend of mine, but I'm going to tap into him more. So when we sit down for coffee, our conversations are now different, right? But we still talk about some of the old stuff, but I also ask him about a lot. And he also asks me a lot more because he knows what I'm going through. So that the gold in that relationship is just kind of magnified.
I think that's a great point, not to be too close-minded either.
Yeah,
because
100%.
even if someone was maybe in a former chapter of your life, or you might not no longer resonate with them in that regard, they might have a skill or life experience that's really valuable for you. And so it's less about putting labels on relationships or letting our past knowledge impact the way we see the world right now, and just being open to more experiences, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's something I just thought of now, just talking to you. It's almost as if I assessed all my relationships, all my friends, all my siblings. I don't think I did, but it feels like I did, right? And I said, okay, this person, this is where I think they sit. And I've got to be careful that people who I don't feel bring the right energy to me. I can't be negative. Like, I can't hold a grudge against them, because it's just how they see life, right? So if someone doesn't encourage you, if someone actually discourages you, it's not out of spite. It's just that's how they see life. And that's their risk appetite, right? So I've got to respect that, and I've got to the love's still there, right? The love's still there. But it's just that when I'm trying to brainstorm an idea that's scaring the life out of me, I'm not going to bring it to you. And then you then find the people who are assets, people who are, you feel maybe on the similar journey, or people who you just know get you and can give you some good vibes, some good energy on advice.
Yeah, I think that's just a wiki level of discernment, really. It's it was something that I was navigating, because I thought, okay, well, I'd put people in like a bucket. Okay, these aren't my people anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you suggested, I think it takes a kind of a higher level of maybe consciousness to see everything through the lens of just love. And just loving people as they are.
Yeah.
Not trying to change them, but then also just having the discernment to go, okay, I can still love this person, and yet I'm not going to share 80%, 90% of me. Maybe with them I'll share maybe 20% or this layer. Yeah. But then with this person I can go a bit deeper. And I think that can apply to family structures as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's because it's, the people that are talking about, let's go and live on a farm and be self-sufficient, and we don't want the system and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, I get that. But maybe the assessment hasn't happened to understand that maybe you shouldn't be talking to me about that, because I that's not how I see the world. That's not how I see my purpose. And so you shouldn't be talking to me about it, because all I'm going to do is discourage you. But I'm not going to do that. But I'm sure you can feel my energy. You can feel that I'm not encouraging you, even though I'm not saying anything about it. So that's where that level of intelligence would come in, right? And so and that's just how I apply it. So I'm not going to talk to you about all this financial stuff, all this business stuff, because I just don't think you want to hear it.
Yeah.
And if you did hear it, I'm probably not going to be happy with what you give me back. it's not going to help me. In fact, it might discourage me. So the best thing is, let's just keep the love, and let's try and focus on where the energy is positive and encouraging.
Yeah, I think it's just a great reminder. Just, again, mentioned energy protection there. And it ties in with entrepreneurship and growth generally. Being mindful of who you're interacting with, how much of yourself that you show to people.
Yeah.
But on that note, because I know you said you got obviously a partner and responsibilities now. When it comes to vulnerability, right? I see a lot of men talking about this in my space. In terms of when you're going through challenging times and the doubt and everything, you've got your guys, you've got your tribe who can sort you out. When it comes to your partner, is there an element of you that perhaps is unsure how much to show, how much vulnerability to show? Because on the one hand, it's you want to be open, you want to be honest.
Yeah.
On the other side, like if you're the man of the house, that's a huge weight of responsibility, and you want to look like you got your shit together. So has that been a point of conflict for yourself?
Well, that's a big one, because when you go through, like challenges, when you're going through this phase, this acceleration, as we talked about, it's not one day, it's days. It's not 1 hour, it's hours. And it's very hard to keep that away from the people that are closest to you. Like you can say, look, you can lock in, and you then, when you go and see your friends, that's your release. And you try and put everything behind you, and you go out, you have a great time. But you can't do that with your partner. You're living it, because you are living it, right? But going back to my other point around the energy, if your partner can't see you're not in this together, in the sense that, they don't support what you're doing, right? Again, it's all love. It's just how they see the world. And for them, it's bigger than your friend, because they're in the same household. Like, so someone's risking the household income because they want to go off and do this and that. Like, maybe you can't always expect your partner to support that if they're not 100% bought into the vision. So you have to find a way to manage that. And it's difficult for a man or woman, a young man especially, or young woman, to go through this, because then you end up being more alone than you should be. So it's just to find ways to manage that. That's just how I would deal with it, right? So for me, I'm fortunate that I've exercised for many, many years now. I've exercised. So that's part of my routine, not for aesthetics, but it's time to myself. It's more for my cup gets tipped off when I exercise. And okay, when I come back, it will start getting full up again, but at least it's not overflowing, right? So that's how I manage that in that way. Some people meditate, some people just listen to podcasts. You just got to find something to balance out your space, right? And just protect the energy with the people that are closest and around to you.
Yes, I love this, because again, we're kind of responsible for our own energy, and there's going to be days, like you said, where things are just going to be crazy and you're not going to be feeling great. Yeah. But I think when we come back, it's like, okay, just taking that bit of time to just regulate and not bring that mess into the structure. So it's a discipline in a way.
Yes.
But I think knowing your tools, and it would tie in with the last question as well, because it's quite similar to one of the listeners' questions, which we feature at the end of the episode. Before we go into those closing traditions, you've touched upon sport there briefly. Yes. You mentioned doing your exercise. You're a mega athlete, aren't you?
Well,
I mean,
try.
I've seen the medals on the back. I want to touch upon that briefly before we dive in, because you're a serious athlete. If you just kind of list like different adventures, activities you've done, I'd love to hear about those, because I think I told you that I've done one marathon in my life, and I remember just what that did to me mentally and the sense of satisfaction I had after. And from that day on, I was like, man, like anyone who's done anything like that, I'll respect the hell out of them, and put them out there and showcase that, because it's a mega, it's just a mega thing to do. So I'd love to just hear about what your achievements are in that regard. But then also like, what's been a driving force behind all that, because there must be something there that's really pushed you to go on and do these things.
Well, I think it's like an evolution of yourself, really. And this is what I talk to my kids about. A lot of us would just think, whether it's maths, whether it's sports, whether it's whatever it is, you just think, this is how I am. This is all. When you see someone doing something else, you just think, okay, that's them. I can't do it because this is how I am. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. But really, we're just capable of so much more. And I mean, I didn't play sport as a kid, and my journey just started from signing up for a marathon. And I ran probably 50 meters and I was out of breath. I was coughing like my throat. And then you just evolve just from one training session. So the marathon itself was just one day. But the journey for me was just watching myself just transform, just watching myself just go 8 miles down to London Bridge and 8 miles back to 60 miles and just get up and go for lunch and just walk around like nothing's happened. That was just what came out of that. And then from there, because I used to ride motorbikes and all this kind of stuff. But then you just think, why am I riding a motorbike when I could cycle? Then start cycling, commuting. And then I watched it was on the news. There was someone in Cornwall, this guy who was walking with his 4-year-old son on some ledge, and the tide swept the son. He jumped in, tried to save his son, and he drowned. The son was saved, but he drowned and died because he couldn't swim. And I thought, oh man, I can't swim. I need to learn how to swim. And then I was trying to learn how to swim, and it just wasn't. It's just not me. It wasn't fun. I just wasn't committing enough time to it, because I was going to the gym and I was running and I was cycling. And I thought, I'm going to sign up for a triathlon. That's going to force me to do it. And I just signed up for a triathlon. And then the rest is history. I just like the buzz of it, the transitions, the cycling bit, because I really love cycling, the run at the end, and just the way you feel once you're using your entire body through training. And that's just become just how I live, And now you get to a point where I know how I feel when I'm fit and I'm in shape. And once I go on holiday or this Christmas, and I feel sluggish, and then you just can't wait to get back to that. And then the final layer of this, it's just the time to myself, the mind control and discipline that it gives me, which I saw this as different sides of my life. I saw this as like me, Chidi, like the fitness guy and the professional guy. And so they almost didn't talk to each other. They didn't share ideas. They didn't encourage each other. So there's in some ways I got this humongous belief here, but on this side I got this huge doubt here. But now they talk to each other. Now it's like, bro, you've done this. You couldn't swim. You learn how to swim. So what? You can do that. You learn how to do that. Eventually, you will be great at it. Like I swam 2K this morning, I remember my first triathlon was 400 meter triathlon after like 2 lengths, which was about 70 meters. I stopped. I was out of breath, but I swam 2K this morning and I'm here, so it's using that as fuel now, which is amazing.
Well, what you've described there is how you cultivate a growth mindset.
Yeah.
How you believe change is possible is by looking at the evidence of what you have done.
Yeah.
I'll certainly be taking that with me, just because, as you've suggested, I look at my physical achievements and I'm like, man, I've done this. And we talk about jiu-jitsu on this podcast a lot. And like, I've turned up each day and now I'm competing in tournaments. And, at one point I didn't know what I was doing. So
Exactly.
I think that's a wicked way people can cultivate a strong belief system.
Yeah.
If you want to create a strong belief in yourself, start looking at the evidence of what you've achieved already.
100%. Even if unrelated, what you've learned, what you've studied, what you've achieved, anything.
Yes. And I just think that's so cool as well, how your journey into all of those 3 domains, running, cycling, swimming, and just the curiosity. And you've gone through that journey of, just focusing on that, 100 meters, and 500, and then just kept on going. I think it's, very inspirational. And it ties back into what you were saying before as well.
Correct.
One step at a time.
Yeah, 100%. And it just, in the past, it was just things that happened. You just sort of think, well, I want to ski. Okay, fine, I'm going to start skiing. Oh, I want to start riding a bike. Okay, I'll start riding a bike. I want to ride a motorbike. Okay, I'm going to do my bike test. But now it's like a superpower that I feel like I have, that I know that if I just think, okay, I want to do it, I'll just find out what do I need to do, and just get moving, just get working one step at a time, and you will achieve it.
Yeah. So wise words. I appreciate that, and appreciate the inspiration that you've provided for us today. What we'll do, Chidi, we'll move into the closing traditions of the podcast.
Yeah.
The first 2 questions are asked every week, and then the third question, as mentioned before, it's asked by one of the listeners of the podcast.
Nice.
First 2 are pretty straightforward for some. The first one is a song recommendation for the audience. That could be your favorite song at the moment or all-time classic for you.
Kanye West Power. There's this Kanye West has got this 30, I can't remember what it's called now. It's got like a 35 minutes on YouTube, this film. But he kind of got me into remembering that song Power, because it's the energy, and because sometimes you need to pump yourself up. Like sometimes you really need to just pump yourself up. And so Kanye West Power is that song for me.
Wicked. Yeah, I have a couple of those in the gym. It's like, it's just, it takes me to that place. Yeah. I resonate with that. Second one, it's a book recommendation.
So a book recommendation for me would be Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's one of those, because I think when I first read that book, it talks about wealth and how it really challenges how we see the world and the financial side of it. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I read a while ago when I was employed. I just didn't really get it. It didn't resonate enough, because I'm an ant in a line. I'm an ant in a line. And I'm going to then read a book about going off here and going off there. It just didn't resonate. But when I reread the book, it really makes sense. It's important. I feel like every kid needs to read that book and understand the reasonings behind, and try and relate it to their life and their journey where they're going, and take action.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest thing. It's not just learning the material, but executing it as well.
Yeah,
I resonate with that. Definitely, Yeah, I've definitely been one in the past to just accumulate information and just make myself feel
because
better.
it's so easy right now because there's so much knowledge.
Yeah.
There's podcasts, there's books, audio books. There's just so much, and you just get this knowledge paralysis where you're just taking in stuff, and you're not. You forget what you've learned, and then you take in more stuff, and then you just end up being this guy that's just learning and not actually doing anything.
Yeah. So, what was the quote I read? It's one of my favorites. It's learning is an intelligent man's favorite form of procrastination.
I like that.
Me too.
So true.
Okay, we'll add that to the Growth Voyage playbook. Wicked
Nice.
suggestion. The final one is asked by one of the Growth Voyage listeners. This one came in from Jamie, and it ties in with what we were discussing before. But it was, when you're going through struggle,
Yes.
what are the methods that you use to ground yourself, bring yourself back to your center?
It's affirmations. So it's to try and be positive, try and not resent the people around you. My biggest tool for me really is exercise. Because what exercise does is it just kind of, and that could be anything for a lot of people. People meditate. I've never been able to properly meditate, but I feel like meditation would be a short form of my exercise. Like I could go for a 3-hour bike ride on a Saturday and it clears my mind because there's a lot to go through. But when I'm swimming, when I swam this morning, I'm thinking about my technique because I start getting tired and I don't want my technique to fall away. So I'm thinking about my catch, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. Everything else falls out the window, right? And so I kind of empty my cup. And so that helps me, right? But sometimes that's not enough. So then it's the affirmations. I've got to remind myself of who I am. I've got to remind myself of what I've achieved and take the energy from my journey and try and use that energy to propel me forward. Because if I've done this, right, I can do this. So it's almost affirming, I will do this because I've done this. Because I started from 0 clients. I started a business from 0 and I've got here. I can go there, surely. So is, put some music on that, some power, scream in the car, mate, and all is done. Everything is well from there.
Yeah, that's it, brother. I really like that. Yeah, I like it because I think affirmations are an interesting one because I think you've got to believe in them.
Yes.
And what better way to believe in them than looking at your past. And
yes.
I'm also the same with my workouts. I was thinking about this recently when I'm not, and you mentioned the Christmas example as well. I really don't like those periods. I'm like, man, get me back in my routine, get me back in the gym. I feel sluggish, man. And this is what I mean. It's like a mindset shift for building habits because it's like, man, you get to a point where you're just like that. You just feel how beneficial it is for you. You wouldn't want to do anything else.
100%.
And so now I'm even thinking I need to be in the gym each day. It doesn't mean I have to push myself to the limit each time, but man, even if it's, because I'll usually like weight train 4 times a week. Yeah. And I'm thinking on the other days, I'll do jiu-jitsu and stuff.
That's right.
Even then, I think I want to start my day off at the gym.
Yeah.
So if I can just go in there, even if it's 20 minutes doing interval training or something like that, or even if it's just doing like a little bit, just get a feeling. And it's become such a sacred practice for me.
100%.
Every time I'm in the gym, man, the insights I get.
Exactly. And you know what I've come to respect? I've come to respect various forms of this that I didn't in the past. Like I remember when I used to, because I used to run into work. I used to do all this kind of crazy stuff. And you see people walking or running slowly. And I just think, man, overtake, go. But now I respect all of that. Like people that walk every morning, walk the dog, just clear space, listen to podcasts, listen to music. I mean, all of that is great. just whatever it is for you, you've just got to find something that just gets you out and into that beautiful, quiet space. And then when you come back down, it feels so much better.
Oh, yeah, always. Especially for me, my jiu-jitsu highs that I get Saturday morning.
Nice.
Every day, man. It's like I'm a new person. I go in, I roll, I get physical for an hour.
Yeah.
And then it's like the world makes sense again.
That's good. Because I can imagine you're not in that, you can't do jiu-jitsu. You can't think, you're thinking about all these moves. You can't think about anything else.
Yeah, you're just present.
Yeah. Like I feel like I can't go mad. I can't go mad because there would always be that, I keep talking about this, tipping off the cup.
And it ties in with gratitude as well.
Yes.
Like, how could you not be grateful when you can move your body?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what a gift that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chidi, your story's been inspirational. I really enjoyed hearing your words of wisdom and your journey from corporate lifestyle into entrepreneurship and real winning mindset. So thank you again for coming on. Where can people find you if they would like to connect with you and perhaps even find out a bit more about your business as well? Yeah,
so on LinkedIn, I'm Chidi @Egbujie, EGBUJIE, CHIDI, obviously my first name. So Chidi Egbujie on LinkedIn. You can message me directly, or Chidi @virtualfocusaccountants.co.uk. That's my email address for business. So people can message me. I'm also on Instagram, Finance with Chidi, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We'll put all of these in the description.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great talking to you, Harrison.
Yeah, really good fun. Thank you, brother.
Fantastic.